It's Thursday. It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Falawi, and as always, I have the ladies with me. Thank God Mike is not here. Should have yelled me to
I am going to represent. Are you having eat flesh?
Exactly. How you doing, Alaja Nima Akashat?
See that thing we just joked about? It's actually very. I'm feeling
conversation.
The more I'm watching those videos, the more I'm seeing some of the signs already on my body. And so I'm going for a mineral panel test to see which mineral is missing, and I'll start putting them. That's what I'm doing for myself this birthday. Every year on my birthday, I usually do a full body health check. So this year is mineral panel test. If you have a lab that do that, I'm interested. I also want to learn to swim. So my father was a good swimmer, a water and fire safety expert, but all of his children, we did not cram the Quran. We don't speak Arabic. We don't swim.
Chai.
So I would really like to swim.
The generation, you will pass it on to the
Yeah, and he was intentional about passing it to our children before he passed. So I'm trying to do swimming this holiday. I'm looking for a private teacher, private pool. It has to be that.
That's very good.
So I'm really intentional about that. But this morning, I want to call out the head of Loma.
Loshi.
He's the one that is causing floods in Lagos. I'm telling you. The head of Loma, whoever is GM of Loma,
very heavy
you should
allegation.
look at me very well in my eyes. I'm saying it with evidence. You know that all the streets I was shouting about, all the owners have packed their waste into the streets. Nobody is picking it up. If you are driving all the way now to work on the ocean, you will see people have cleared the gutters into the roads. Nobody is picking up
Well, have
those
they
waste.
paid?
Paid?
Paid the lawman.
The interest of
You see, that's the point.
Interest, we cannot say
So I called the truck in my area to pick up, and it was like, those people have not paid. I'm like, these are waste on the road that is in the gutter that they have dug out. It's an emergency, environmental one.
Yeah.
If you put money in front of it, they will leave it there for you. It will flow back into the drainages. And we have another flood waiting.
How are you doing, Ramatu?
I'm doing well. Over the weekend, I said I was going to watch my Indian movies. I watched my beautiful Indian movie. In fact, it's now I start understanding what the stories are all about. I watched Ye Vadaraha, that's the one with the Sunita. That's The Promise. And I also watched Nagin.
You alone.
No, Nagin and
The ones in the olden days ones.
Yes, the olden days ones. They are all on YouTube.
Oh, really?
In fact, it's now that I start understanding this.
Oh, you watched
very
it? You were
nice.
too small. That
You're younger.
Nostalgic feeling, everything. It was so nice. And I was like, these children, they've missed out on.
Oh, I'll definitely go watch it again.
Honestly.
with all the excess singing.
Excess singing and
I used to
dancing.
sing along, yeah. Well,
and the snake moves and everything.
Let's find the ball.
Very nice. And then, and then the Nagina lady, that's the Sri Devi. I now realize that she's dead.
Oh.
Died some years back and all. But
hello,
it was
Topsy.
very nice.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm very grateful to God. Yesterday, Professor Fabawo shut down Magodo. Professor Fabawo clocked 70 yesterday. The deputy governor was in Magodo.
Oh, wow.
I was driving to my house like this. Two sides of the house. I said, what's happening here? What's happening? And I called my husband. I was like, there's something going on in this Anglican church. Everybody has just blocked the road. He said, it's Prof now. It's Prof. I was like, we didn't know. It's just such an honor for him. And I'm like, it has to be a birthday for a Monday for the road to be blocked like this. And I saw the deputy governor going there. I was like, okay, on the show this morning, I'll celebrate Professor Fabawo.
Yeah.
He's a friend of the house is a friend of Your View.
He cared for you?
Yes, I consulted with him when I was pregnant, and
nice.
and he's someone that has served. It's beautiful. Civil service, they don't
He
see that
revamped
because medical.
And he's managing director now
of the LASU, the medical team. So happy birthday,
happy birthday, Prof.
Professor Fabawo.
Happy birthday, Prof.
Many more
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
So today I'm going to be speaking at Olabisi Onabanjo University.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning to. I begged them that I couldn't make it because I had some family emergency. But young people just use everything to just said, okay, let me just go.
Right.
So I have to sacrifice. But I'm really excited to go. We'll be speaking on trust and national development, and that's my forte. I love that.
Yeah.
I cannot guess.
I'm going to wear all my father's shoes.
I'm going to
Speak like my dad.
We the people.
Yeah, we the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we the people.
She's coming from.
All right, let's go on a short break now. When we come back, look at the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with the nation. Nigeria to export petroleum products by December, says NNPCL. If I capture how many times I've read this headline in the past 3 years, I would have got 1 million. Federal government shares 740 truckloads of rice to states. IG stops enforcement of the ECMR.
Thank you.
How illegal miners feel insecurity by Abbas and CDS. Kano court stops Bayero, 4 others from acting as monarchs. UAE restarts visa issuance to Nigerians, OK's airlines. Lagos signs pact to boost lag ride with 5,000 vehicles. And allocation free. States set timetables for council elections. Okay. Which story are we taking in the nation?
Good news, and I hope it is sincerely, effectively carried out. The FEC meeting yesterday concluded on 740 truckload of rice to all the states, the 36 states of the Federation, including the FCT. And they're looking at each state getting about 20 trucks per state. Each truck will be carrying 1,200 bags of 25 kg rice. That's half of a bag of rice. And the directive of the president is that the Minister for Agriculture should ensure that this gets to the most vulnerable. Whenever they put it that word, fear they always catch me. Get
Because it will not reach you.
It will not reach.
No, it's not even bothered to reach me. It's who qualifies as most vulnerable. What do they think like that? You know, so those gray areas always causes corruption. But so this is the initiative of the federal government, and hopefully we'll start to get testimony of people receiving it and see videos of who are the most vulnerable that are receiving it. Also, they added that the FEC directed the Presidential Committee on Compressed Natural Gas to expedite action on the CNG compliant bus.
Years, they'll have quite a bit of vehicles running in Lagos. So this $260 million investment is set to transform the transportation landscape of Lagos State, according to the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. So the agreement supervised by the governor involves Ibile Holdings Limited, a state-owned corporation, partnering with CIG Motors to add the brand new vehicles to the lag ride fleet. There's among these 1,000 will be electric vehicles, which is great news. Going back to what we're talking about, underscoring Lagos's commitment to reducing fossil fuel dependence and lowering carbon emissions. This investment deal will further enhance efficiency and elevate smart mobility in e-hailing sector. So I'm really looking forward to this and see how that goes. I'll probably just park my car somewhere because honestly, it's not easy driving around.
They're comfortable.
They are comfortable.
And they are new, so obviously.
Go ahead.
That's why I have the export petroleum, the Nigeria to export petroleum product. Just like you said, the story, you read that headline 3 times. So let's see what they have. Let's hope that. They said relying on emerging indicators of the energy and gas sector, the NNPC boss told the committee, they had a committee, there was a meeting, and I'm going to mention the people that were at the meeting, that Nigeria will become a net exporter of refined petroleum products by December. They said that the Port Harcourt refinery will go into full operation and petrol supply from next month. And he also said the Warri and Kaduna refineries will follow suit by December. He also said they will pump petrol in commercial quantity also from next month. He said these are expected to bring relief to Nigerians. So at the meeting, the members that were at the meeting, they had the coordinating minister of the economy, Mr. Wale Edun, Budget National Planning Minister, Senator Atiku Bagudu, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Senator Lopo Biri, then the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Yemi Cardoso. He also said that the National Bureau of Statistics put the June headline inflation rate at 34.19%, pushed up by the 40.87% food inflation. So let's see how that will.
So I'm taking the story. I'm taking the story on how illegal miners are feeling insecurity. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, and the Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa have both had a meeting. This meeting was at the House Committee on Solid Minerals, and the information is not something new, but it's just sad that 80% of the insecurity in the Northwest is caused by illegal mining. Also, the fact that Nigeria has lost about $9 billion to illegal mining, saying that only the few licensed miners pay Nigeria 3% from the mining that takes place. Also mentioned the fact that the Chief of Defense Staff said that most operators brag about their high connections in government, and so in high places, and so you cannot necessarily take them out of the system, but they are fueling insecurity and they're not letting Nigeria benefit that. According to the Speaker, Nigeria has so many natural minerals and solid minerals that could bring us a lot of revenue, but we're not getting the benefit. It's rather mined illegally, and then we're having to finance the securing of the area based on the damage caused by the illegal miners. A lot of lamentation. I couldn't find the solution, but they cannot connect with our people.
Yeah, leaders and people. We're all the Nigerians. We the people. The Punch. I think let's take the headlines. OPS, that's Organized Private Sector, blames insecurity as food inflation hits 40.8%. $1.8 billion fuel stolen from refineries in 9 years, says Nati. I never knew I would live to 890, says Wale Soyinka. Excitement as UAE lifts visa ban on Nigerians. Court okays Kano Emirates law repeal, sacks Bayero and others. Trump emerges Republican candidate, picks 39 on a May. Cases hit 2,809 in 33 states and 148 local governments. Lagos allays fares over LCDA's Oyo Taraba set-up panels. And Umweji projects over 1 trillion naira Zenith Bank profit in 2024. Okay, let's take one story before we're going to break.
Go ahead, quickly. So the OPS are, blaming insecurity on food inflation. The MBS, that's the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, food inflation 0.87%, and it was 25.25% in 2023 last year. So a 15% increment is on it, and they blame it on. They said the prices of the cost of this food inflation is basically on prices of millets, whole grain, gari, guinea corn, bread and cereal class, yam, water yam, cocoa yam, potatoes, yam, and other tuber class, groundnut oil, palm oil, and oil and fat class, as well as catfish, other dried fish. He said that this reflects what we are most likely purchasing. But I want to rely, because in the story also carries that organized private sector are blaming insecurity. Yes, all of them are blaming insecurity, but I want to rely on what Lotus Beta Analytics says. Mr. Shedrack Israel attributed the surge to various factors, including over-reliance on importation, that I agree 100%, exchange rate fluctuation, insecurity, I agree 100% again, global economic uncertainty, which is everywhere. He said these are far-reaching implications on the cost of living, our purchasing power, as well as the economic instability that we're experiencing. Okay, let's go. Several advice to the government.
Let's go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Where is Glory?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Glow! Where Glow now?
Are they here?
Glow don't go village. Tell all our customer abi.
Everybody pay attention. See, now Glow dedicated 10x. Now him I they take tension my customers.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the grand comedian of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Benga Dainka, the first. OJ right here, 7 of 7, like you already know.
Benga right here, 7 on 7, like I'm beginning to know.
It's now time for the question.
You don't scare me one bit. Bata, I go drink. So.
Okay. So now one chance for enter. My first question. Do you remember the names of the winners of that edition of StarQuest?
Of course I do.
Why do you?
And I hate myself for this. Because I have this question for you. Final question. No. Where outside Nigeria and what year? Think you're the only one that can be wicked.
I am thinking because I know back in the day.
Don't think. Answer my question quick. You are thinking too much. I don't like it.
The UK.
Program held in Abeokuta in his residence yesterday. The governor also had announced scholarships and gifts of laptops to 9 students who emerged best in an essay competition to mark the Prof's 90th birthday last weekend. He was born July 13th. The Nobel laureate clocked 90 on Saturday, and in fact, it was celebrated across the states and across the nation. While answering questions from children on his life experiences for the past 90 years, Shoyinka said he did never envisage that he would live to the age of 90. Added that he decided to be a writer to correct some anomalies from stories he listened to while he was growing up. On why he broke into radio station during the military era, he said, I never broke into a radio station, but I sneaked in. The radio station was holding on to something that belonged to the people, and I decided to retrieve it. If that item had been played, it would have demoralized the people and established the culture of brutality. Very interesting that he was engaging young people.
As in at that age, it's a beautiful thing. I want to take the story on $1.8 billion field stolen. So the NAITI is the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative. Dr. Ogbonaya Oji has disclosed that over the period of 2009 to 2018, even up to 2020, they did a report that came out to estimate the total volume of crude oil, that's stolen crude oil, and pegged it at 619 million barrels. Based on the price at the time, the total amount we've lost is $1.884 billion. He said that these losses have its negative effect on the Nigerian economy, but aside from that is the fact that it can be prevented going forward. That they did a report, that's NAITI did a report, and that it was based on the, in partnership with the government, the last administration also did like an audit, and that if this current administration would implement the recommendations that they made on how to prevent oil theft, that it would save us a lot of money. That the risk and the fear, they spoke about the fact that our country is largely dependent on the oil revenue, and that it is within our, we can curb this oil theft, and like Mariah would say, is our people. But still, if NAITI has done a report, then the current administration would do well to go through that report and partner with the necessary agencies to implement so that we can see less oil theft and more revenue coming to us through our crude.
Okay, so I have the story of the Emirates, the Kano Emirates. They said the Bayero guy has still been...
Emir Bayero.
They said he's still taking, as in he's still parading as the emir of the district, and then the governor asked the police to eject the disposed emir from the Nasarawa mini palace, but the police refused to obey and said they need an order from the courts. And the government then approached the court to restrain Bayero and other disposed emirs from parading themselves as emirs and sought an order asking them to vacate palaces in their respective emirates. Delivering the judgment on Monday, Justice Ali restrained Bayero and 4 other dethroned emirs from parading themselves as emirs as Kano, Bichi, Gaya, Rano, and Karai. She held that the Kano Emirate Council Repeal Law 2024 was carried out by the State House of Assembly according to the law as enshrined in Section 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So they said they should leave Sanusi to have his space while the rest should please.
Daily Sun, mass protest looms will demonstrate against Tinubu while Sheikh Gumi. Tinubu may send minimum wage bill to National Assembly next week. Headsmen kill 13 in renewed Benue attacks and 5 missing. Autonomy, Algon, seeks upward review of revenue accruing to local government. Rising food prices, Nigeria's inflation hits 40.8%. And FG UAE agree on resumption of travels. Okay, which story?
Yeah, I have the IG bows to pressure. And so the police force PRO at the Federal Police had announced that the IG had ordered us to go and register our cars with the ECMR initiative. But now he also announced that it's been suspended by the IG after, civil societies protested against it. The NBA, as well as other bodies, gave a 7-day ultimatum to the IG to suspend or completely stop the implementation of the e-car something. I'm trying to remember what it is again. Electronic Central Motor Registry registration process, which he compelled, was a 5,000 registration process. But the NBA, as well as other bodies, gave a 7-day ultimatum to withdraw the enforcement or face legal action. And so the IG has said, suspend it for now. This process, according to the police force PRO, is something that would, increase our national database, also ensure security of cars, prevent multiple registration of cars. It has multiple benefits. It's designed to ensure the safety and security of all types of vehicles, including motorcycles, collating data imputed into a system by vehicle owners, and also acting as the flag to vehicles when they're stolen. He said this will also provide a first-hand database to the force for curbing vehicular crimes, and describes by giving easy access and real-time comprehensive data on every vehicle, on available tablets I'll be giving. I'm just wondering with what we are experiencing now, how this would have worked. But I really hope that, we can have a proper security, because car theft is a very serious issue. It happens every time. Yeah.
So the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, has said that our president will be sending the revised transmitter bill on the new minimum wage to the National Assembly by Thursday. If you recall, he had a meeting with the Tripartite Committee, consisting of NLC and other stakeholders, and he's also had a meeting with the governors across the country to have a figure. If you recall, the NLC insists on 250,000, while Labour has said, the government has said they can only do 62,000. So we're hoping that there's a final meeting on Thursday, which the president will meet with Labour, and hopefully a final agreement will be agreed upon and then transmitted to the National Assembly. So we're looking forward to how that goes on Thursday. Another story, Son?
Yes, the UAE has lifted the visa ban on Nigeria. So it was signed July 15th, yesterday, that the agreement has been signed. We've heard it several times before, but we didn't have an agreement signed. Now the UAE and the federal government have signed an agreement saying that Nigerian passport holders now have access to apply for visa to visit the UAE. Said the breakdown of what will be required from us will be released later, but reacting to the comments, a few people on social media said it was expected that they knew that the president would be able to strike a deal that will make this easy. The central bank also, additionally, they had the issue with the central bank being able to remit the money for Emirates. It was to the tune of 85 million. So the Dubai Emirates airline had halted their airline, but after several meetings, they've been able to resolve the money, and now Nigerians are able to go back, continue doing business through the UAE. So this is good news for many Nigerians who that was their core business route.
Okay.
At least they're happy now.
Vanguard, very quickly. Controversy as manufacturers reject NBS inflation figure. IGP bows to pressure, orders suspension of the ECMR enforcement. Emirship tussle, talked about that already. Asaba poised to select new Asagba. Zenith Bank showcases strong financials to exceed the 1 trillion naira profit in 2024. Our projected $30 billion revenue will boost naira value, says Dangote. Hunger states get 20 trucks each as FG shares 740 lorry loads of rice. Okay, which story are we taking? I was going to take Dangote. So the president of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has stated that his company's aim is to become the leading supplier of Forex as it targets $30 billion revenue in the year 2025. I'm looking forward to this.
As we can't wait.
We'll be hearing these things as well. During the tour of the refinery yesterday with media executives at the weekend, he said the plan is to attain the central bank's Forex sourcing, highlighting a strategic shift in revenue composition. He expected the significant inflow of Forex into Nigeria through his business. He believes that this will automatically boost the value of our local currency and make Naira regain its value in the Committee of International Currencies. According to him, the refinery began full operation in 2024. Initially focused on refinery immediate products such as the polypropylene and others. He explained that the refinery entered its state production phase in March 2024. I've not seen Dangote's few yet. We're hearing about
petrol, but we have seen they say the diesel has come out.
So I think it's the diesel so far.
Petrol.
But so far, he's hoping that his projections would come to pass and it will help us strengthen the Naira. We'll see how that goes. Any other story in Vanguard for a wrap-up? Okay, let's move on quickly now to the Nigerian Tribune. Local government autonomy, FAC meets today as FG may delay implementation of Supreme Court's judgment for 3 months. Court adjourns suits against Oba of Benin till October 17th. Kano, we talked about Kano already. This one is still not taken at all. Inflation rate hits 34.19% amid rising food costs. Okay.
I have the Oba of Benin story. So remember that 2 of the Eniges had gone to court to question their removal by the Oba of Benin. So yesterday there was a court sitting where the court adjourned till October because of course, there is a the annual judicial break that will be holding between this period till October. So the court adjourned the matter till October 17th. But if you see the crowd at the courts yesterday showing solidarity and support for the Oba of Benin, Fiago Cash.
So funny. But I mean, why would they institute a suit against it?
This matter should have just ended. But these 2 Eniges are, one is an uncle to the present Oba.
Wow.
Okay.
That's all we can take on Front Page Review today. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, move on to our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
As the morning light filters in, the Max Breakfast kickstarts your day
from the bedside.
We bring you the morning vibe and plenty of ginger to start your day right.
Join us on the Max Breakfast as we help you seize your day one step at a time. On Max Hits, we've got the ultimate playlist for you. We give you back to back.
And all the biggest news from the world of entertainment, only on Max Hits.
Area, waiting the apple, waiting the shop. You need to award-winning waiting the 102.3 Max FM.
Lagos, Nigeria, you're welcome to the Max Drive.
Whether you're there for inside motor, you're there for inside traffic, we're there for you with a Max Doing.
You know what it is. It's the Max House Party. King Dion, DJ Charlie Shee. Let's go!
102.3 Max FM. Hit music for Lagos.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the one who can make time stand still forever, Mr. Kelechi Amadi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, my brother.
You love that intro, Abi?
Yeah. It was great.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you.
We try like that.
Thank you.
Now my question, which I feel is a cheap question.
Oh, go ahead.
What does ISO stand for?
That is it. I think I'll drink.
No, you're joking.
I'm not joking.
Kelechi Amadi. No. Shay, you didn't whine me. You're whining me now.
I think I'll drink.
Huh?
No problem.
Okay.
I've always known this as ISO. I never bothered to know what it means. I know what it means, but I never bothered to know what the acronym is. Tell me the brand of camera that I use, so much so that I even became an ambassador. That's very easy. It's out there.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
I just said, look, I give you this one as a token of my appreciation.
Sony.
Drink!
I'm not done. You did not say final answer.
It's final answer.
You did not ask me if that was my final answer.
You don't have any choice again. It's only
Nikon.
how many cameras do they have? My
Nikon.
friend to drink. I gave you a very easy something.
Nikon now. Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the one.
Thanks for staying with us. So last week, a secondary school building collapsed in Plateau State, killing at least 22 persons, leaving dozens of others injured in the hospital. First, we sympathize with the state and the unfortunate incident, and we commiserate with the affected families and people of Plateau State. In a few moments, we'll have the Commissioner for Education, Plateau State, Honorable Mohammed Nyalom, to give us an update on the rescue mission, what they're doing to ensure the safety of schools especially, and seeing what they're doing to help the children who are currently undergoing medical care in the hospitals as regards bills and care and even psychological evaluation and all that. So when he joins the conversation, we'll have him on, but you can join the conversation with the ladies with the numbers on your screen, 081-0764-1679, 090-241-1634. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. So this is a conversation we're quite familiar with in Lagos because, I mean, buildings always collapse one thing and you're always hoping that nobody loses their lives in this. But hearing from Plateau State, it was almost like the first time we're hearing this, and it was quite disturbing. But before we go into that conversation, I'd like us to watch the video of the report from TVC News.
Experts, residents and individuals have continued to raise concerns over the cause of the building collapse in Jos. Some experts and building engineers at the scene are alleging that the building did not follow the set standard when it was raised.
Our findings are based on scientific investigations. So as regards this building, we came from visual observation. We already identified some issues. We've obtained some samples yesterday. We're here to continue with the collection of samples.
One of the major challenges we have is just the violation of the building code. You know, people don't keep up to standard with the materials they use in building, you know. So it calls for another job for the Standard Organization of Nigeria, that they should ensure that what the materials used, you know, are up to standard.
The foundation of this class was just one-story building, and you know, imagine turning into two over the night is one of the causes. This, to me, I want to call on the government to really enforce law. You know, buildings like this shouldn't be approved.
The senator representing the area who visited the scene and those on sick bay says he's taking the issue to the Red Chamber, assuring that action must be taken.
Immediately I will set a motion. I will have a direct motion to make sure that people should see that something happened to me and let it not happen to any other place. So proper investigation should be made, and maybe we'll have a legislation to look at to be sure that schools or whatever building or an institution should have what we call perfect plan development, which will not have such impact again.
Residents building substandard houses around riverbanks have been cautioned to desist. The state government has set up a high-power committee to find out the actual cause of the incident. Funom Joshua, TVC News, Jos.
Thanks for staying with us. So that was a report from the TVC News, and it's quite disheartening, you know, because, I mean, today I'm going to be speaking on trust and national development in a school. And one of the things that builds a society is trust. That I can take my child to school, and I can come back and pick that child up. I trust that the school has done what they're supposed to do to build up the structure to put my child in. So I'm coming based on the trust that there's a social capital, that I trust that the school has done what is required to accommodate my child for the amount of time it's going to be there. So these are issues. So there's a part of the government, there's a part of the people who are putting this together. What are your thoughts when you heard about this really sad incident, and how do you think we can move forward from this? Nima?
It's a collective. To build a nation is a collective work. To raise a child is a community work. It's a collective work. And when we leave it for one side of society or the community, this is what we get. So somebody approved this building who failed to do what government needed to do. You saw that it was a school. Did you go to check if they had the facility enough? Let's even leave structure first. Was somebody checking to see if this facility that was being built was being built for the right purpose? In Lagos State, I'm doing a building approval for one of my clients. I'm doing soil testing, all the works. So I have a construction company that works for me, doing everything from scratch up, because if you get to get your building approval, you need all of that. I don't know what applies in Jos, so I don't want to, that's why I use the Lagos State example first. But I believe that if a building approval was given to that building, somebody failed to check at foundation level, the soil testing, the terrain, where that school was located, from videos I have seen online, shows that you even have miners around. You can't have a school building that can adversely be affected by mining activities. You cannot have it in that area. So somebody should have disapproved the existence of that building if the mining activities existed before it in that locality. And if it must be there, the kind of structure it will house, because of the kind of children it will be housing, somebody would have made sure that it either goes through the proper process, all the quality of materials that is needed to hold it, must hold it. We had a building collapse in Adosoba back then due to some kind of unexpected explosion. There's no mining activity happening in Adosoba. It's a fully residential area. We have a port around us. We have buried pipelines around us. To date, nobody can categorically say what caused that explosion. I saw how it cost lives. Talk less of when you put one in an area like this where there are mining activities and you go and sleep. Now, the parents in this case for me are victims. Sadly, they have suffered. In fact, one of the parents broke my heart completely over the weekend just reading about it. You know how they couldn't, how it cost an entire family from what happened there. And to think that there might be no consequence, because of course, The people who fail to give approval or disapprove that building are still the set of people in government who will say, okay, they have already died, June, can we move on? You know, because if there was, this is a murder. Mm-hmm. Failure to carry out, to do your duties has cost life. Of course, at least in the worst case, is a manslaughter. You know, somebody should at some point importantly face consequence for it. Absolutely. So that people would learn. But because we fail to have consequence for things like this in the past, people still cut corners, build buildings that, you know, do not go through proper processes.
Right. I'm told that our commissioner is on. I've tried to get the commissioner, Honorable Commissioner of Education, Plateau State, Honorable Muhammad Nyalum. Morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. So we're just going to be discussing the updates from Plateau State concerning the collapsed building. Could you give us an update so far? The numbers we're having is 22 confirmed who have been killed by the accident, and about 54 hospitalized. Are the numbers changed?
We still have that number.
Okay.
To confirm dead. But first of all, let me express my regret once more for the significant loss of lives. I also want to extend our deepest condolences to them, to the families of the deceased students, while praying for their quick recovery of the injured. But I want to confirm to you that we still have, with the number, that the deceased is still that 22.
Okay. So then also, what of the survivors? Do we have, have some been discharged to go home? I mean, how many are still hospitalized?
Yeah, a good number of them. I think very few now are in the hospitals. Very few, not up to 10 in most of the hospitals, and a very good number of them have been discharged. This morning I'm trying to get that update of the data, because the discharge happens to me is continuous, and I have not gotten the update for today. But I want to tell you that the hospitals are doing very well, and a good number of the students have been discharged home.
Before we go into the cause of what happened, what of psychological evaluation for the children who have been through this ordeal, their family? Is the state planning anything? And also, as regards the bills, who's going to be covering the medical bills?
As I'm talking to you now, the First Lady is planning to pay a visit to some of these families to condole them and try to say, encourage them to make sure that life has to continue and school has to continue. And we in the ministry, immediately with the ongoing examination, we have made alternative arrangement for the student in SS3. Right now, they are writing the NECO examination in the neighboring schools. And we are also making arrangement to see how we can. In the meantime, the governor has directed the immediate closure of that school, and by implication, we have to draft students from that school. Those are in the junior class and are then yet to be in SS3 to other schools. But that school, like I told you, is now shut down by the
All right. So, sir, one of the things that concerned, while we were discussing before you came, Nima mentioned getting justice, and I'd like to find out, we've seen clips online, people have made their own submission of what caused it. Oh, it's one floor, you shouldn't have gone to the second floor, substandard materials were used, but has a panel of inquiry been set up officially to investigate what happened? And what do you believe? What do you think?
Don't forget, this thing happened the day on Friday, and the governor was away overseas and had to abandon his trip because of the magnitude of the problem to join us, and immediately was in the state, and already has said a high-power committee will be set to investigate the remote and immediate cause of this collapse. And I don't want to preempt that until when the committee submit their reports. We cannot reach the immediate cause of the collapse.
Okay, sir.
How long has the school existed for? How long has the school existed for?
The school was established in 2009. And as at that time, there were only 3 classroom to 4 classroom blocks.
So it was in ground floor.
The upstairs was built, erected sort of after after the establishment of the school in 2009, it's not long that that building was erected. And like I told you, we cannot say whether there was proper plan from the Development Board, but as soon as the committee is into action, we expect to get a proper report as to the cause of the collapse of the building.
With what you just said, I'm afraid to ask, my colleague Miriam Longe is from Plateau State, and she had sent a question asking what was the role of the Jos Metropolitan Development Board in overseeing that the approvals or the structure conformed with what a school should be, knowing, of course, that you said in 2009, the school started as a bungalow and you were not aware when the floors were added. I'm afraid to ask what the role of the board is and how they partner with the Ministry of Education when it comes to school buildings. You know, I don't know what the answer would be.
Hello? All structures.
School structures. When a building is meant for the purpose of schooling, what approvals and how do these approvals come? You know, how are they done? Do you have a partnership with the Jos Metropolitan Development? Yes.
Before schools are approved, we have partnership with the Jos Metropolitan Development Board. We have Ministry of Health, and all of them have to ascertain. Like I told you, that particular building, that particular upstairs, was erected after the granting of registration from the ministry. So as to whether they have taken proper permission from the JMDB or proper plan was submitted to JMDB before the erection of that building is what we are going to ascertain. And like I told you, the governor is saying a high-power committee will be set to determine actually what happened. And until that is done, I don't want to preempt the decision of the committee.
All right, let me ask you this question, sir. I know you said earlier that the First Lady will be visiting the families, which is good. It's important for our First Ladies to participate. But do you have plans as a state to engage professional psychological counselors or people who are professional, who can actually help with this children's trauma? Because what they've experienced is quite traumatic. Here that some of their friends have died in a collapsed building, in a classroom that they thought was safe. So they need better psychological evaluation, not just a visit by the First Lady. So are there plans for that?
These things are done in stages. Would have visited as soon as she has seen the level of trauma these students are experiencing. Then the next thing is also to set up, like you said, and we cannot leave these students like that without giving them proper psychological treatment as to engage them back to the school and also to the society, integrate them into the society. And therefore, we are making every arrangement to make sure that we give these students the necessary attention to be able to go back to school without any problem. This I can assure you.
Okay, so has anyone been arrested? Because I'm going to talk from the point of a mother, right? Because if I lose a child in that kind of a thing, I want justice to prevail. So who is that person that approved that building close to a mining site?
As I'm talking to you now, the principal of the school is in a police custody.
Fantastic.
Yes.
The principal is not the owner of the school now. The principal is not the owner of the school.
The principal is the owner as far as we know, because we cannot apprehend the proprietor. We are trying to, the police is making effort to apprehend the proprietor because he's at large.
So who are the people in charge? Who were the people that approved the building?
Investigation is ongoing.
Yes, and
permit me to say that.
Investigation is ongoing.
Okay, you know, I don't think that this is given the right attention it deserves. I think this is an emergency. And if the governor...
I want to assure you that our governor is a proactive governor.
But this happened on Friday. Proactivity shows...
Exactly. Someone should have been brought to book.
He doesn't have to come to office on Monday morning before the committee is set up. If it happened on Friday, he returned to the country, it should have been immediately.
We in the ministry are embarking on a scrutiny of all buildings in our schools. We have, let me also be glad to tell you that the governor, in his proactive nature, has already giving appointment to somebody to head the security aspect of the school, the school program. He has appointed a coordinator for the safe school. And last Thursday, we was in my office. We are trying to marshal out a plan as to how we are going to go about the security of our schools when this unfortunate incident happened. That is to tell you that already we are aware of the problem that we are likely to face. That is why that informed the governor, giving that appointment to that coordinator.
Okay. So I'm happy to hear that there's an ongoing check on all the schools, because one of the things that we should, when things like this happen, is for us to prevent it from happening again, and that would be that
yes.
every school that is within Plateau should be.
I'm also glad to tell you that we have started receiving complaints from parents in 2 schools, and yesterday we have to draft our men to those schools to see what actually is the problem. And so this morning we are also collaborating with JMDB to go to that school if that school did not meet up with our standard.
Okay.
Of course, definitely we are going to demolish that school, those structures that are not up to our standard. That's to tell you that we are not sitting on our oars to make sure that everything goes as is expected.
Okay, so the question I wanted to ask actually was, aside from the checking of all the existing schools, we know that most of these schools fall within private schools. It's within government contracts and government schools, there are more structures, but private schools tend to be the ones that are managing and cutting costs. So I wanted to find out from you if there is the structure in place, and I'm happy you said some people have reported their school. What is the process to ensure that we are protecting children that are in private schools, that are in small private schools, so that they don't fall into it might not be collapse anymore. It might be flooding. It might be something else. So how broad is the search to ensure this does not happen again?
Yeah, like I told you, the committee the governor is going to set is not really going to ascertain the immediate and remote cause of the collapse. But other things will include suggestions and recommendations as to how to prevent further occurrence of such ugly incidents. Yes, and then we also in the ministry, like I told you, we have invited the ESCO, the executive members, or the proprietors of private schools this morning for a meeting at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
And some of the things we are going to be discussing is the way forward as to how to prevent further occurrence of this problem, and then we come up with a program of action.
Right.
Well, we await the decision of the committee.
I would like to ask, who are the members that constitute this high-powered committee? Because we'd like to know who they are. It can't just be people who the governor just feel that should.
I told you the governor received NEMA executive in his house on Sunday, and yesterday was Monday, and I want to ensure that before the week runs out, this high-power committee will be set up by His Excellency the Governor, Barrister Kadimana.
All right.
And until that is done, I won't say anything as to the composition of the members of those committees.
Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to know if, along with the principal, since the principal was already arrested, if along with him there will be members of staff of the Ministry of Works, Housing, or anybody in charge in the Metropolitan Development Office of Justice.
That one, the findings of the committee will reveal. And I want to tell you that the governor will not spare anybody found to have been involved in the handling of that building sharpishly, and definitely also the governor will definitely take, make sure that it doesn't go unpunished.
Okay, just a final question for you, sir. Just a final question.
Yes.
Honorable Commissioner, we saw some reports online saying that the school was built, there was a quarry around that place. Did you visit the place, and can you confirm that there was actually mining activities close to where the school is built?
Yeah, actually the governor was there, and he had an on-the-spot assessment. He saw the mining. It was not really a mining. It was a pond, a gully erosion site. And he has also directed that some houses that are residing along that Goli side to be investigated and proper attention be given to them as to whether to demolish or to make sure that the right things are done for the houses. And for the school, like I told you, let us not just say, definitely we notice a dam sort of swamp. That school looks swampy, and by implication, it stands the risk of dumpy walls.
Yeah.
And yes, and definitely, if this, let us not just preempt the decision of the committee.
Okay.
As a matter of fact.
All right. Thank you so
allow
much.
them to do the work and find out the cause of this thing. I don't want to go into this.
Thank you so much, sir. Let me allow you to go at this. We're speaking with the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Plateau State, Honorable Muhammad Nyalom. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we are looking forward to the high-powered committee's report and see how that goes. Hopefully, there's some kind of justice, because every family is hoping that somebody pays for this damage. You know, you can't pay for life, but at least you have some kind of succor that the government rose up to its responsibilities to ensure justice for these young children. We commiserate with the family and pray that they are so rest in peace. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, move on to our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Level 2.
Hello, Niger. The time is right because the prize is right here. Be a part of our turbocharged studio audience for a chance to win amazing and mouth-watering prizes on The Price is Right. Visit www.thepriceisright.ng or The Price is Right on social media for more details on how to participate.
Registration is open to all Nigerians 18 years and above. Come on down, Niger.
It's about time.
The Price is Right is proudly brought to you by Smart Cash powered by Airtel.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome pioneer Positive Force member, dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show Your View, Omoyeni Yeni Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger,
yeah, take it.
Today we'll go here.
Hey, I didn't read you.
Are you sure?
Ha. I'm not here to answer questions. I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75. Fellas wasn't even born till 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
No be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepa Road. Nepa Road in Abeokuta.
First of all, my brain cannot memorize everything.
A big black bug.
A big black dog.
Bug. A big black bug.
Oh, sorry. A big.
It don't start.
Ọmọ Fẹlá. Ọmọ Aníkúlápó Kútì. Wọ́n rò pé kí ni kékeré yìí.
It's my eldest son. It's not my eldest son.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results.
My 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
Okay, that's all we can take.
I choose
Ejeki, close the show, Fadala.
Ladies and gentlemen, number one unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number one on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back? You should start the gym to get fat. Cricket.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference? There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. So pole dancer,
you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
No, it's the empowerment for me.
Sex can make your relationship better.
No.
Sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too. Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the better? You scissors. What is his name?
That woman.
Bam! Bam! Yeah,
Today we'll go here.
Hey!
Let's get to work.
Thanks for staying with us. On this segment, we have the former federal lawmaker, author, playwright, and human rights activist, Senator Shehu Sani. He'll be speaking with us on the current state of the nation. Good morning, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. When it comes to building a nation, there is an issue that's been at the forefront, the issue of trust. Many Nigerians certainly would want a better nation, but they just don't trust that government knows exactly what they're doing. You can't totally blame them because obviously we've been disappointed over the years. You know, when you try to trust government to use your taxes appropriately, try to trust government to build schools that would not dilapidate. You would like to trust government to provide water, to trust government to provide electricity, but yet we've not seen it. But today they're asking us to trust. Pay taxes, do your own bit so that we can have a better nation. How do we begin to build that trust in government again?
Thank you again for having me in your program. It's a pleasure. First of all, in 1999, when Nigeria returned to democratic rule, Nigerians were full of hopes, expectations, and dreams that the new order, the new system, the new democratic spirit will usher in a new epoch of development, peace, prosperity, human development, and collective progress. But 24 years down the line, the majority of Nigerians are disappointed. Successive leadership has not been able to deliver on the promises and the pledges they made as a government. So for over 2 decades, a pattern of distrust has been created between the people and the government. And whichever government comes into place, it has to inherit that kind of thought and mentality in the hearts and minds of Nigerians. So how can we change that? The only way to change that is that government should live up to the promises and pledges they made. They should make lives better for poor people. They should improve on the economy of the country. They should secure the country. And they should do what they have to do as a leadership and as a government. When people begin to see the delivery of dividends of democracy, when people begin to see how their resources is applied to their development and how they can see government in their lives, in their homes, in their rooms, in their plate of food, then trust will be rebuilt. But it's also generally around the world today, people are, it's not just peculiar to Nigeria.
Right.
In America, people don't trust government. In Britain, people don't trust government. In many countries of the world, people don't trust government. So it's for the government to earn the trust of the people by delivering on the mandate and they're also making sure that resources impact on life of people and people can see visible and verifiable changes and progress in their lives.
Okay, Senator, this morning we had the federal government has approved 774 trucks of rice to mitigate, the famine. Because I don't want to believe it's just hunger anymore. It's famine is looking like famine right now. Who would you describe as a vulnerable Nigerian?
Did you get that, sir? Hello, sir. Did you hear my colleague? She just asked the question.
No, I can't, but I can.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
I asked earlier that, 774 trucks of food has been approved by the federal government. The president's directive is that it targets and gets to the most vulnerable Nigerians. And this term is something that has been confusing for a long time. Who would you classify as most vulnerable Nigerian, if we were to get down to definitions?
In Nigeria today, there is an evident hardships in the lives of our people as a result of the pains and consequences of the economic reforms. And that is not unusual for any government that dares to take the bull by the horn as far as changing the economic direction and philosophy of a nation is concerned. But economic reforms must also be done with human face. And I believe that it is a good idea that foodstuffs are shared to people. That will temporarily address the problems of hunger and poverty, but it's not going to permanently address it. And when you're talking of the vulnerable in the society, the vulnerable are growing in numbers as far as the reality of the situation it is today. People that could have afforded 3 square meals some few years ago today are struggling to feed even once in a day. People that would be said to be located within the prism of middle class are today beyond, have they gone back to the lower class. So if this palliative is to reach the vulnerable, I think the first thing to do is to look at those in the society, lower strata in the society, the downtrodden, those who are not employed or those whose subsistence cannot actually be called subsistence, the physically challenged in the society, the old, that is the seniors who virtually have no pension, and also the workers whom wages cannot actually afford them a decent life. These are the strata of people that need to be reached out to. And the way to go about it is that I believe should be that every state should set up a committee that constitutes representatives from the government, the civil society, the workers, the youths, communities-based association. Should have representatives so that whatever is sent can reach out to the people on the ground. Because if you leave it specifically for governors or for politicians, certainly it is simply going to go to their supporters and their hangers on. So every state should have a standing committee that has representatives from all sectors of the society, both those in government and those out of government, the workers, the physically challenged, young people. It will go a long way to reach out to the vulnerable in society.
Okay.
So I'll just stay within the line of Nima's question, in that some are of the opinion that Nigerians don't need food palliative, that we need jobs, we need productivity, we need, you can't give food forever. So there is a need for us to be able to create an enabling environment, and since we cannot feed majority of Nigerians, according to the reports, it's 774, which means that one truck to a local government, and we know how big local governments can be. Do you believe that this food distribution is a way to, does it really solve the problem, or how do you think we should we scrap food, and where would you like the government to focus the attention on concerning making food more affordable for Nigerians?
Well, the only way to address the problems of hunger in the country is to invest in agriculture. Nigeria is a country with over 900,000 square kilometers. We have over 200 rivers, and 80% of our land is arable. I cannot imagine a nation of ours still thinking of importing food. God has done everything to Nigeria. He has given us what he has not given Palestine, he has not given Israel, he has not given Saudi Arabia, he has not even given the Vatican. But unfortunately, for all these blessings that we have, we're still expecting manna from heaven. Kogi State is one of the states that are usually used. This is a state where you have confluence of River Niger and River Benue coming together. But the city doesn't have a pipe-borne water. Wow. So we have reached a point where we are expecting perhaps angels to come down and feed us. So importing food and distributing food can only address the temporary problem of hunger and not the permanent one. Government must revolutionize agriculture. We must invest in agriculture. In fact, if there is any ministry that should be headed by the president, it should be Ministry of Agriculture, not Ministry of Petroleum Resources. That's where our future is. It's sad that a nation like ours, we are still importing cotton from Egypt when we can grow cotton here. We're importing sugar from France when we can grow sugarcane here. We're importing wheat from Ukraine when we can grow wheat in Nigeria. We're importing rice from Vietnam and Thailand when we can grow rice in Nigeria. So we have everything that a nation will have desire for God to send to us. We don't have natural disaster. We don't have monsoon. We don't have hurricane. We don't have earthquake. We don't have any. We have land that you can plant anything for it to grow. The problem is we refuse to invest in agriculture. And that is the long-term survey. What of these 20 trucks that have been shared? Now the question is that, how do you share 20 trucks to Kano State with a population of 15 million people, and Lagos State with a population of almost 20 million people? The same thing with that of, say, states like that have smaller number, so that I don't mention states and they feel the need. But I think the best way to go about it is that, like they said, it should be temporary, but there should be a formal investment in agriculture so that we don't only grow food crops and livestock, but we should also be able to export. And it's a good idea that I support the establishment of Ministry of Livestock, because livestock is a whole economy of itself.
Yeah.
One of the problems we are facing as a country for the past 5 to 10 years has been the fact that Livestock has become a source of conflicts, acrimony,
Yeah.
violence, and bloodshedding in both the north and southern part of Nigeria. Having a ministry like that is also an investment in agriculture. So we should invest in agriculture to address the problem of hunger.
Let me get a few more questions in for you.
This food will now be eaten. After we have eaten all the rice, what becomes of it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the hardship in Nigeria into poverty or into the hardship. So what do you think about the policies? Do you think they are good policies? Are we going to get something out of it at the end of the day?
Suffering today in this country, I think he is living in another planet.
Thank you.
But we should also take cognizance of the state of the to address the problems of the economy of the country. How can we say now, if you look at it generally, Nigerians were more patient with Buhari than they are with Jonathan. Many people today who are speaking out against impatience were silent for 8 years. They were silent when money is stolen in central bank. They were silent when the whole economy was wrecked. They were silent when a cabal has taken over and were destroying the nation. Now, the president today has a responsibility and duty to get things right. And he chose to do it a different way. For decades. But now he has taken a different path, and this path comes with consequences of people have to make, have on level. The lawmakers, the people occupying position of authority and power are making sacrifices. People in government are not making sacrifices. Then there are bound to be disenchantment and discontent. So I believe that he inherited a wrecked economy. He inherited a looted country. He inherited a nation that virtually was not set to move forward. And the way he took over, as if all these bombs have all been planted. So to me, I think what is most important is that in as much as the government wants to reset and reconfigure the economy and political spectrum of this country, it also has to take care and take care of the vulnerable in the society.
Right.
Because if there is hunger, if there is suffering in the society, it's very easy for people to develop a mindset and come out on the street and protest. But if those strata have been addressed, then they will give you time for you to go and do other things that will reset the country.
Okay.
What are the where did he succeed and where are we failing? There are successes that are recorded in terms of infrastructure. You can see that the Federal Minister of Works, he has been up and down. The roads now are receiving attention. days, they were released. It happened in Zamfara. It also happened in Katsina and Sokoto State. So this a pastor was kidnapped in Zamfara. He was released. If you remember what happened under Buhari, in Federal Government Grace College, Kebbi State, student girls were kidnapped. They have to be 2 years in captivity of these bandits and terrorists. So we can see some level of improvement as far as security is concerned.
All right.
And there are evident infrastructural development we can see. But you can't see all those things here when people are finding it difficult to feed themselves. A hungry man cannot see.
Let me get a few more questions.
They can't even compare when they can feed. So I think the president should go about now addressing the problem. Direction.
Okay.
Because what has happened from 2015 to 2023 was simply a disaster, and he needs time to be able to.
All right, let me get a few more questions for you.
Let's bring it to the people now, because you mentioned food security and lack of food as one of the causes of this hardship we're going through right now. An average Nigerian youth does not find dignity in farming, and we did not grow the strength in the past.
Yo, Niger! The time is right because the prize is right here. Be a part of our turbocharged studio audience.
Thanks for staying with us. So Tuesday is our Healthy Tuesday, so we have to touch on how to be healthier, especially when it comes to kids. So today we'll be discussing tips for safeguarding our children during this summer break and the differences in millennial and Gen Z parenting with the columnist, speaker, childcare business expert, Caroline Pokwala in the building.
Thank
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here. Very much, I saw you guys. Well, I didn't see you guys. You had me online.
Yes,
virtually,
yes. Oh, that was you.
Yes.
I kept saying the thing was familiar. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, Tokwe taught you in the UK, right? Yes, I remember now. You're fantastic. Good to have you.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
So, summer is here. The kids are out and they're eating up all the food, you know, and their character is coming out.
Exactly.
With all
the sweet.
With all the sweet. So, could you give us some tips, really, because especially in this season where the kids are home, and how best to help them to learn and actually be more, you know, to learn a bit more values this season?
I like the fact that you said values.
Yeah.
Because why do we have breaks? So they can take a break from those constant cramming of books
academics.
and, you know, so we take breaks because your brain does need to relax a bit. So you can do like more pleasurable stuff. So that's why we have breaks. And hence, when it comes to the holidays, what I normally recommend to parents and teachers that have extracurricular activities is more activities they can do that still they're learning, but unconsciously learning. You know, not intentional learning kind of. So they can go to like after school clubs and they learn to mix with friends. So they're learning team building, they're learning how to share, you know, things like that, which are things they would later on need in life, you know, so, and their social skills, their communication skills, all of those things they have. So we would have things like board games. So they have tons and tons of board games and they're competitive. You know, you could imagine something like when we had the chess games and things like that. So it's not educational per se, but it's relaxing, but there's lots of skills they learn from
screen
that.
time. Because if they have to do board games, if I buy the board games, I would make sure maybe for these hours you are doing board before you then go to screen.
Yeah, fantastic idea. I love it.
I mean, statistics shows that not more than 2 hours of screen time in a week, where possible. Honestly, even with regards to when it comes to your educational stuff that you learn. So parents use this excuse that, but they're learning how to read or 1, 2, 3 and ABC online. It's too much screen time. What happens to when we were younger, that we have to go outside on the streets? And I know it's not safe, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you can still do that in moderation. I encourage my kids to go out. And yes, I'm sorry, but the UK is not safe. You know that. It's not particularly safe, especially if you have black boys on the streets. So it's not a Nigerian thing. It's not an African thing. It's a world problem. So it's not safe, but you still don't keep them in the house, and they're constantly on that. You know, so...
You know, I really miss my childhood. I had, if I remember, by this time
we
I'm
had time for everything.
Calculating. I talked to the trees that that's fruit, you know. I climbed trees, I did it all.
Yeah.
But my kids, sadly, have to take some classes online.
Yeah.
And that's where the screen time starts to... So you're disciplined to keep 2 hours a week. I would really have loved to do that, but most of the trainings, even the Quran classes are online.
Yeah.
You know, and how do you then, what would you advise I give up? For someone like me who has to do some form of screen time no matter what, what can I say I can let go? I used to do skill for my daughter. So at 4, she started hair weaving for, you know, the long-term rainy season holidays. She does this, you know, she moved from that to weaving again and, you know, braiding. And now she did tailoring. You know, we have one skill or the other she could have done, but now we are forced to do it on screen because going out meeting people and the distance of traveling also. So what would you advise?
I love the rainy season holiday.
It's the rainy season.
Because my children are always saying summer. I say we don't have summer in Nigeria. We have rainy
season, long-term holiday.
Long-term, exactly. Yeah. So what I would suggest is let's not forget what you gain when you're with other people. It's so important. It's just conversation. And we're getting to a world where we don't value people anymore. And it's more online. We can't do that. Now, making relationship is so difficult. People don't know how to make relationship. Whereas you have more online dating games and coming up, and you're talking to a screen. You're not even talking to a true person. What happens to that thing of like, let's go out for a meal, or let's go to the park and sit down and let's have a chat? Or not even have a chat, let's just look at nature.
Nigerians, we don't know how to look at nature.
You know, all of that, we need to go back into that. We can't say it. We don't want the one thing, technology, that is good for us, and we don't have a choice, we have to move with it, but at the same time, be the hindrance of what raises our children. That's not it. Because I constantly go back to the fact that if you look at us, we've not turned out too bad.
Yeah.
Don't forget what's turned us to this incredible people that we are. You can't ignore that. And in that sense, I always bring culture into it. Regardless of where you are, if you look at the Indians, the Asians, and the Chinese, all of them, their culture comes first, their language comes first before any other language. You have the Arabs, they can speak English with all their loaded money. They will turn around and say to you, no English. If you either come to our level or there's no talking. So why are we not doing that? We should be proud of who we are. And it's only when they see us being proud and not constantly banging them in front of this thing called a TV or screen, that's when they start to take pride in the culture. So going back to your question in terms of safety and in the holidays, we have, obviously, there's so many things. First and foremost is parents. You need to know where your child is, what your child is doing. Even online, are they safe online? What are they watching online? And because as parents, we're so busy, we take a back seat, you don't even know what they're doing in this 45 minutes or 2 hours that you've given them. And they could be in all sorts. So as a parent, first and foremost, you must know where they are at all times. And if they're in trouble, you must have codes or ways in which you communicate. You know, because my area is more early years, under fives, and I'm so particular about children and safeguarding, and the fact that if someone does anything to you, how do you talk about it? How do you tell? How do you gain confidence in the way I speak to mom, the way I speak to dad, that dad has given me or mom has given me that permission that I can say anything to her regardless? Do we bring, and that comes with confidence, that comes with social skills, that comes with communication skills. What are the things we're talking about you don't learn on screen? Because you're sitting there, the TV is talking at you.
Yeah, right.
You can't talk back.
You're not talking back.
Fantastic. Okay.
So I love the idea that I know you're particular about early children, but I also know that many people with teenagers are struggling. There's the, how do I manage this years? I can't take
the preteens,
teens. I can't take your device because I don't want to alienate you. So a lot of parents are struggling with, I don't want my child to hate me, but I still want to be firm and disciplined. How do we strike the balance, especially during this long holiday that we have to deal with them without school?
See, that's a really good question, because everyone gets into, and I'll be lying to you. I have a 16-year-old, I tell you, he doesn't even know I exist, like genuinely. And it's not for lack of trying. But it's that thing where you come to a conversation. You get them down. My boy will stay in the loft and he would just be fine. Mariah, I'm home. Come down, let's have a conversation. And you try and do family time if you can. You know, think about quality, not quantity. That's very key. So going back to, there's no time not to fix it. You can fix it at any time. So no parent has got the manual.
Right.
At any time, any stage you find yourself, you get the information, all right. Let's do. The first thing I'll say is, let's have a conversation. We'll have a conversation. This is how I feel. So imagine I'm talking to you as my teen. Tokwe, this is how I feel. I feel you're spending too much time on screen. You might disagree with me, but that's what I feel. So for example, I monitored on Monday, you spend on Tuesday. You explain that. Because we're trying to have a conversation here. Let's reach an agreement. And that's it. That's the starting point. And let's reach an agreement. Yes, you're going to have the ones that are going to kick back. And then you go back to that place of like, okay, let's try another method. There's no one way fits all in any family. However, not trying is not an option.
Yeah. I mean, when my daughter talks to me, she talks to me as in like this old person. I mean, you won't understand.
That's the latest now.
You. Hello? What don't I understand?
We watched the film. He said all of it is fake. All the stunts, and I went on Google and showed him. They did the stunts themselves.
I'm true. I have an hyperactive son. Doesn't sit down in one place. When he's moving, in fact, anything on the road is kick. Is when you put him on that PlayStation, that is when you will he will get his attention. But aside that, what else? What are apart from board games? Because I'm always thinking of how to engage him and make him, active and all, because he's too hyper.
Even with that, it's a matter of having to call them and say, okay, what would you like us to do together? The thing is, don't get me wrong, if it's not a process, a thing you've done before, there's gonna be a few kickbacks. But it's the consistency, the intentionality of like, I want to change, I want to do better, I want them to do better, or we want to do this together. You tell them, because children are not silly.
We are working.
They're very smart.
We're working.
And I get it. So the culture in Africa, we have nannies, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we have nannies that understand and do these things with the kids? And this is where I say, as parents, do you even communicate your values to your nannies? Because if you don't they just bring somebody. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know you guys are intelligent, fine ladies, right? So compared to when I was younger, we just had a girl from the village would come and they just do things, So that's changed, and you get obviously you tell them what the attributes you're looking for and so on. So if you had someone that is slightly smart, not too local, they come in, okay, these are the things we would like you to do. It's almost, you're paying them for a service. You should have your expectations. So the way you have an expectation from a school, I would have an expectation from my nanny. So these are the things that are allowed in my home. These are the things that are not allowed. These are the things you do with my children. Even in the UK, where the children, we have our children go to nannies, go to nurseries and things like that. There was a time I had 3 children under 5, and it was a lot. And it was ridiculous. And I worked full time. So I had to get someone that's not so much a nanny, but she would take all 3 kids to curricular activities. So I said, I like them to swim, I like them to do this, and she then took them. I paid for her petrol, so it's things like that.
Yeah.
So something is got to give. If you can't do it, because the culture is one that we don't have the time, not even just the culture, like life now determines both parents have got to work. Yeah. Because the cost of living is high. So even in that, you can have an expectation for whoever is the next person looking after the children, and you say to them, these are the things I want.
Okay, so what you're saying is that we shouldn't continue with schoolwork when they come back from school.
No, it's too much. It's too much. It's too
Trust
much.
me, that's a good question, because we have some husbands and you see that they finish mathematics and
they will come back and
I get you.
Honestly.
I have to ask you about this very quickly, because how do we get out this Gen Z generation to be more street smart? They just, many of them are very,
I know.
they're just very, I'm like, come on, man. So how do we get them to be sharp? Well, I wish I could just, stop my finger and just get you to be street smart.
So what worked for me, and I say to parents, and I use that as an example, so I have over 500 parents I would normally see on a weekly basis, not so like face-to-face, but that come within because I run a chain of childcare settings in London, and I'll see them over a period of time, and nothing best than experience, you talking from your experience. Whilst not that one would fit your home, you have to try different skills. But what worked for me was, with my boys, I literally, because of the thing with the boys and knife and gun crime in London, and I live in London, so I have videos of like, look, these are things that could happen. And you know what? You can only do your best. You can't kill yourself. Because once you've given them the information, you've armed them with the right information, there's nothing else you can do as a parent. And that's where our prayers come in. And that's where that faith comes in. And you say, look, I hand them over to you. Simple thing like when they're going to uni, what can you do about it? What can you do? But we have a lot of them now with mental health issues, committing suicide. I have a case where, unfortunately, so sad, left the parents were in the UK. They had enough. They came back to Nigeria, left the child there. She left uni, went to book a hotel room and committed suicide, hanged herself. Again, it's such sad news that we have to go through that stuff. And as a parent, you think, what more could I have done? There's nothing you could have done. There's nothing. It's got nothing to do with you. But the main thing is not telling them is the choice you don't have.
Yeah.
So we had a video going around in the UK at one point saying how they recruit children into becoming drug moguls and things like that. So I showed those videos to my kids. You can tell me, oh, mom, you don't get it. I would never do that. But
they're aware.
But they're aware of it. And it's the not showing them that that's where we haven't done our job.
Yeah,
you know, so there are lots, and so going back to the millennial and the Gen Zs, there are lots of information online now compared to when we were growing up. And so they have that at their fingertip. So it's a matter of like, you have groups, you have lots of groups, WhatsApp groups that are catering to parents, millennial parents, older parents, they've got younger kids, you know, all sorts. So it's not getting those information, that would be at our own risk.
Actually, we have to wrap up now.
Oh
Thank
my
you
goodness.
so much. I mean, I think your time. We really love to just, because I have so many more questions for you. But we have to bring you back. Hopefully, before you go back, you're not going back soon, right? You're still around.
Tomorrow.
Oh, yikes. All right, so thank you so much. We're speaking with childcare business expert Caroline Popola. Thank you again for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's all we can take on today's show. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.